Thank you for inviting me to participate in this webinar. The webinar is taking place at 4 a.m. Sydney time where I live, and so I'm unable to participate live. However, I'm grateful for the opportunity of sending you this video. The war in the area now called Israel and Palestine has been going on for 100 years. It's the Middle East's 100-year war. In spite of that, the events of the last 18 months are unique in that 100-year history. There has never been a time when there has been such mass slaughter, total destruction, life-taking siege, including starvation as a weapon of war. There has never been a time when the prospects of peace for all the peoples living in the area have seemed so dismal. My mother taught me when I was a child that two wrongs don't make a right. As I grew older and went and studied law and learned about international law, I saw that this basic moral principle was also a fundamental legal obligation. The Israeli occupation of the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and Gaza, is an unlawful occupation. The International Court of Justice has said that. But that unlawful occupation did not justify the war crimes committed by Hamas and the Islamic Jihad in southern Israel on the 7th and 8th of October. And those war crimes do not justify the war crimes committed by the State of Israel in Gaza and the West Bank since the 7th and 8th of October. My dead mother was right when she said that two wrongs don't make a right. And we are seeing very much the suffering that is caused by this cavalier approach to international legal obligations over the last 18 months. During that time, our Commission of Inquiry has produced 5 reports already on the events since 7th October 2023. We will be producing another 2 or 3 reports before the end of this year. There is much to tell about the events that have occurred. We have found, for example, that the activities of Palestinian fighters in southern Israel on 7-8 October 2023 constituted war crimes. We have also found that the continuing activities, the slaughter, destruction and siege imposed by the Israeli forces since then constitute war crimes and crimes against humanity. These are serious crimes under international human rights law, international humanitarian law, and international criminal law. Our Commission has identified many of the acts that have occurred in Gaza since 7 October 2023 as constituting genocidal acts. We have not, however, yet completed our analysis of the question of genocidal purpose, a fundamental question in deciding whether or not genocide has occurred. We continue to work on this. What is quite clear, however, in my view, beyond reasonable doubt, is that there have been the most severe war crimes and crimes against humanity, and these constitute among the most severe crimes under international law. The return to hostilities over the last few days is certainly tragic. Tragic for the people of Gaza, tragic for all those who live in Palestine and Israel, who are sentenced to this continuing cycle of atrocity and violence. But it also represents an escalation of the violations of international law. It's very difficult to know what can be done about it. The United Nations Security Council is charged with responsibility for international peace and security. But the Security Council is totally dysfunctional and especially ineffective when it comes to dealing with the situation in Palestine and Israel. We can't hope for any effective action from the Security Council. It therefore comes back to individual states like the United Kingdom and individual groups of states like the European Union or even the Commonwealth to take a stand and to take action. I remember the important role the Commonwealth played in ending apartheid in South Africa and ending racial discrimination in what is now Zimbabwe. Maybe it has a role in Israel and Palestine, arising from the traditional British mandate for Mandate Palestine before 1947. Collectives of individuals also have an important role to play. In the absence of United Nations action and state action, there are things that we can do. To begin with, we can hold our own governments to account for their inaction and urge more positive steps upon them. We can also, as citizens, as consumers, as travellers, take decisions about how we will act in relation to this conflict. When the International Court of Justice handed down its advisory opinion on the occupation in July last year, it referred to the need for all states, the obligation of all states, to take action not to support or insist in any way the continuation of the unlawful occupation and the settlements. It called for the end of the occupation, the evacuation of the settlements, and international action to support a return to legality. This is something that we all have an opportunity and an obligation to take up. Perhaps rather than focusing on the ineffective, utterly useless United Nations Security Council, it's time to ask our governments and ourselves what we need to do to address this situation. Thank you.